Good morning, everyone, and I welcome you all to this training session that we have started for empowering the skills of Python, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and AWS. So, you all have already received the learning plan for this training session, which has been spanned for a period of 12 weeks or 3 months. The weekly duration will be 8.5 hours, and I guess you all have went through all the details of this session. Now, for the ease, we have divided everything into a week-wise summary, and the main technologies we will be covering would be AWS, deep learning. Then we'll be learning about association rule mining, the recommendation engine, chatbot, and time series. We'll be going through data visualization through Python, and we'll be also studying about some of its libraries. So, just to give you an overview of what we will be going through this week, so we'll be majorly covering the basics of Python just to get you guys familiar with the language. I know that some of you might already know Python. So for them, it's going to be kind of a revision session. So we'll be majorly discussing about data structures in Python, some kind of operations that you guys can do on those data structures. We'll be talking about specialized collection data structures, understanding what is control flow and applying it on the data structures. We'll be talking about functions, and we'll be also talking about connectors. So this is pretty much the summary of first week. And if time allows, we are going to do web scraping this week or maybe in the following week. All right. So I believe this is clear to one and all. Now, one thing I would like to discuss before I start the session. So, I've been told that I speak a lot fast when I am teaching. So, feel free to use the chat box to, if you want me to reiterate any concept, if you want me to slow down, or if you want to discuss anything. All right. Also, since I can't see any of you guys, I'll be asking you to react. You can either react by raising your hand, you can either react by any smile emoji or anything. All right. The choice is yours. But let's make it an interactive session so that I have a clue whether you guys are getting what I am trying to do here. All right. So, firstly, if everything till here is clear, I would like everyone to please react with a thumbs up or with any kind of emoji. All right. Okay, thanks a lot. So I guess everyone got the drill. I'll be asking something and you have to react, and at the same time, we'll be coding along. Okay. So for the sake of demonstration, I'm using Jupyter Notebook. Now, can people give me a clue whether they are coding along today? If you will be coding along with me, just give me a thumbs up. All right. So let's see what we are going to discuss today. So here, okay, my image is not visible. No worries. I'll just show an image to you guys. Just give me a moment. All right. So we'll be discussing about Python data types today. Now, just to go along, what data types are basically whatever kind of data you use, it has a type. Now, why do we need this to understand about data types of any kind of data? See, if you go to if you have any kind of ailment, and if you go to any kind of doctor, a doctor is not going to prescribe the meds then and there. They are going to study what kind of ailment you have, and only then they are going to prescribe you any kind of medicine. So same goes with data. Whenever you use any kind of data, you must specify what kind of data type you are, what kind of data type this kind of data has. So majorly we have five kind of data types. First is numbers, then we have bool data types, then we have sequence data types, mapping data types, and we also have sets. So when we talk about numbers, we have three major data types in Python. We have int, float, and complex. And we are going to start by studying those. Now, there are a lot of things. There are some basic syntaxes which I'll be demonstrating while I demonstrate about data types. So let's start how to declare or how to use an integer data type. So firstly, to use any kind of data type, any kind of data, you need a variable to hold it. So what a variable is? Now, a variable is a container. You guys might already know about it that holds a value for a temporary period of time. Now, whenever you are declaring a variable, you can simply specify its name in Python. So I'll be declaring a variable called number and I'll be assigning a value to it. All right. And just like so, a variable has been declared. All right. So here number is the variable which holds a value that is 89. Now there are two things that one might question while looking at this part of the code. So why have I not specified the data type of this variable and what kind of value is this? So firstly, this thing is called a comment. Now what are comments? They are the non-executable part of the code. Now it means that if I put a hashtag and if I write anything inside my program, it is not going to affect my program. It is not going to affect the syntax of my program or the working of my program. This part is going to be overlooked. But this doesn't mean that I can write anything. Okay. You can't write any kind of gibberish in the program. Basically, comments are used to demonstrate someone, or if someone is reading my code, or just like now, I have you guys to demonstrate that I'm currently teaching variables. So I'm using comments to teach you guys or to demonstrate the part of the code to you. So you can use comments in such a manner. Now going to the second part, why have I not mentioned what is the data type of this variable? Now, this is the beauty of Python. In Python, you do not need to mention it. Whereas in other languages, if I would have declared this integer data variable, I would have mentioned int here. But if in Python I do so, gives me a syntax error. So there is no need, and the interpreter by itself understands that this value that you have fed here, it is of integer type. All right. But still, if I want to make sure whether this is integer or not, then what do I do? So for that, I have a type function, and inside it, I can mention my variable whose data type I would like to know. And you can simply run the cell and you'll get to know that this is an integer data type. All right. Now talking about what values are integers. So as you guys already know, any kind of positive value, any kind of negative value, including zero, will be treated as an integer in Python. Okay. If you want to print the value of your variable, we have a function and that function is known as print function. And inside this function, you can mention that this is your variable whose value you would like to print. Now this prints the value of my variable to me. So we'll be studying about functions later and we'll be talking about them in detail. But as of now, you can understand that these two functions are available. The functions are basically predefined code. And you have these two functions to check the type of your variable, data type of your variable, or to print anything on the screen. Now, if you have got till here, whatever I have taught, please give me a thumbs up or please react. All right. Thanks, everyone. Now, the second data type that we have for numbers is float. So let's talk what a float data type is. So now numbers don't necessarily need to be positive or negative. They might be containing, they might be of decimal form. So if I have something of this sort that contains a decimal, So this kind of number, this kind of data comes in the category of float data. And I can very well prove that to you guys that this is a float number. What happens if this is also a negative? This is also negative basically, and also contains a decimal. Let's check what is the type of this data now. So it is still float, which means that if it is signed, that does not make it an integer. If the data contains a decimal number, it will be treated as a floating point data. All right. Now, the third kind of data type that we have for numbers is complex. I guess I don't need to demonstrate what complex numbers are because most of you guys might already know that. But just to tell you what a complex number looks like, so a complex number, it contains two parts. It has a real part and it has a imaginary part. All right. And it can contain any kind of symbol, like it can contain any kind of operator, minus, plus, multiplication, anything. So if I want to declare a complex number in Python, how would I do that? So I am declaring a variable that is COMP, and here is the real part for it. And this is the operator that I'm using. And this is the imaginary part. So normally we use I or iota, I guess, for demonstrating the imaginary part in case of complex numbers. But in Python, you're going to use J only. All right. So this part is the imaginary part because I have J character to it. And in Python, this is how you declare the. You guys can see number it contains two parts. One is the real part, another one is the imaginary part. Now, I want to access both of these things separately. I want to get the real part and I also want to get the imaginary part. So for that, the complex number, the complex data type, it has attributes. Now, what are attributes? So attributes are nothing, but these are variables associated to any object. All right. So what is the object? Complex number here is my object. And this object has some variables associated to it, which contain some kind of information about this object. And that these variables, which contain any information about the object, we call them attributes. We'll be discussing about many attributes in the forthcoming sessions, but we have two attributes that are associated with complex numbers specifically. So what are these attributes? We have the real attribute and the image attribute for imaginary numbers. If I want to get the real part, so I can use this dot real attribute on my variable, and this is going to give me the real part. Sorry, the real part. If I want to get the imaginary part, I can use this attribute on my variable, and it is going to give me the imaginary part. All right. So these were all different kinds of data types that are associated with numbers in Python. Now, if you guys are getting all that I'm saying and if you are enjoying the session, please give me a thumbs up so that I have a clue. Okay, thanks a lot. Now, the second data type that we have is bool, but before we discuss it, we are going to discuss a sequence data type that is string. Okay, so let's understand what a string is. Now, in Python, it is said that anything that is inside inverted commas, it is a string in Python. So in order to declare a string, what do you use? You use inverted commas, obviously. And here, if I want to write anything, I can specify inside the inverted commas. So let's give this a variable. I'll call it company, and the value for the company is Inzint. Let's print the value of this variable. So this is my value. And if I want to check, this is the data type, that is str, meaning string. Now, to specify, to actually define what a string is. So string is a sequence of characters. A sequence of characters enclosed inside inverted commas is called a string. Now, these characters, they could be alphabets, they could be digits, they could be any kind of special characters, including space, including commas, full stop, anything. And a string can be a combination of all of them. So what is string? String is the sequence of alphanumeric characters. Now, in order to declare a string, you can use inverted commas. Now, what kind of inverted commas? They can either be double inverted commas, they can either be single inverted commas. So, if I want to declare a string, I can use single inverted commas as well. And we can also include triple inverted commas. All right. Any set of commas you guys can use, that totally depends upon you. So, here, if I want to specify, now you can see that I get the value of my company variable, but let's say I want to display a message as well. So how to display a message inside print function? Sorry, pardon my internet connection. All right. So I was telling you about how to write, how to display a message along with the value of the variable inside the print function. So here I can mention another set of arguments. The first set of argument is the variable name, that is company. Now, another value if I want to provide, I can provide it inside inverted commas. The message, that is to say, I can provide it inside inverted commas. So I can mention here a string, and this string is going to display this, or let's say I work at. Okay. So now the print function contains two arguments. It has a string and it has a variable. This string will be treated as a message, and when I run the cell, you can now see that I have printed a statement that says I work at Inzint. So this is how you can provide more arguments inside print function, where one could be your variable value, a variable name, and another one could be the message. All right. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you have a basic idea of what a string is? Okay. Now, frequently, whenever you will see strings, you will see them declared in these two manners, either using double inverted commas or single inverted commas. Very seldom you will see that triple inverted commas are used. So what is their significance? Now, these triple inverted commas, they hold two significance inside Python. So firstly, you can use them to declare strings. All right, that we all know now. But what kind of string? You can use them to declare multi-line strings. So I'm going to mention I am Vanshika. I work at Inzint and I love my job. Okay. Now here you can see that I have written this string value in multiple lines. If I assign it to a variable, okay, so let's call this variable a multi-line string. So if I access its value, you can see that I have a multi-line string. There are a few things that you might not be understanding in it, and I'll demonstrate it one by one. So as the name suggests, a multi-line string is when you enter the characters in several lines. Here you can see that only one word is present and everything is in one single line. Here I have declared the values in multiple lines, declared the characters in multiple lines. So if you use triple inverted commas, you can declare multi-line strings inside Python. Now, if you enclose it or pass it as argument inside print function, you can see that everything gets displayed in separate lines like you declared. All right. But if I use this same string and I do not assign any kind of value to it, and after it, I simply write my code. Let's say I'm declaring a number and I'm printing its value. Now, what do we observe? We observe that this part of the code, it does not generate any kind of error and it is completely ignored. So in Python, if a multi-line string is not assigned to any variable, it is treated as a multi-line comment. Okay, I'm going to repeat myself. If a multi-line string is not assigned to any variable, it is treated as a multi-line comment. Okay, and that's why here it is completely ignored. All right, and here it is generated as a multi-line string. Now inside the variable name, you could see that I have used underscore. What happens if I don't use them? Basically, it generates a syntax error. What if instead of underscore to separate the words, I use any other special character? Again, I get a syntax error. So what I mean to tell is that variable names, they have some variable naming conventions. So here I'm going to mention there are some variable naming conventions. You guys might already know about them, but if you don't know, I would like you to search a bit about variable naming conventions in Python. These are basically the rules that you should keep in mind while declaring variables. I have already uh, mentioned two of the rules here when I was demonstrating these errors. So you have to search for two more. All right, this is a little homework that you guys can do. Okay, so please give me a thumbs up if you get what is your task and if you have a clear distinction between what multi-line string is and what a multi-line comment is. Okay. Okay. Can you guys also react with a smiley if you are enjoying the session? Just for my sake. Okay. Thanks, Vijay. All right. So we have a clear idea. Thanks, everyone. Uh, we have a clear idea of what a string is. Now let's discuss about some of the operations that you guys can use upon strings. So let me just get a picture. All right. So the first operation that we are going to discuss upon string is called indexing. So if to clear everything in one word, indexing is basically to get a part of the string, to get a character of the string, sorry. So if you want to get any character of a string, you can index it out using the concept of indexing. Now, indexing specifies that each and every character of a string, be it any alphabet, any digit, any kind of special character, including space, they have an index number associated with them. So, firstly, I would like you guys to focus on this part of the image, the string and these numbers that are written at the top of it. Please ignore these numbers. All right. So, what is an index number? It is basically a number that is given to each and every character of the string. Just like every one of us have an address associated to it, and if I want to visit Kakuli, I can simply uh, fetch her address and go to her place. So, likewise, if you want to get any character of the string, you can access them using their index numbers. So, index numbers in Python, they are of two kinds. There are positive index numbers and there are negative index numbers. Firstly, let's focus on positive ones. So the positive index number, they start from 0 and goes till the length of the string minus 1. What is the length of a string? So as many characters that are present inside string, we call it the length of the string. So here you can see that Python contains 6 characters. So the length of the string is 6. I said that the last index number is length of the string minus 1. So 6 minus 1, that is 5. And here I'll find my last character. And the first character is always present at 0th index number. Okay. So let's declare the string and let's index some characters out of it. So I'm calling it string 1. This is my variable name and its value is Python. First, let's check what is the length of the string. So I'm using a function that is length, which, as the name suggests, is going to return the length of any string. So I'm going to pass the variable name, and it tells me that the length of the string is 6. All right. So, like I taught you that how many characters are present, that is the length of the string. Now let's fetch the characters. So first, I'm going to fetch the first character. And in order to index the element out, you use the variable name, you use a set of square brackets, and you specify the index number. So we know very well that the first character is present on 0th index number as of now, because we only have knowledge about positive index numbers. So this gives me the first character, that is E. Now let's fetch the last character. So the last character, we know that it is present on the last index number, which is 6 minus 1, 5. So this gives me N. And in the similar manner, I can access any character using these positive index numbers. So I leave it to you guys to play with these index numbers, declare various kind of strings, also include some special characters and see if you can index those out as well. Okay. Now moving to negative index numbers. So negative index numbers, as the name suggests, here the numbers are going to have a negative sign along with them. This kind of indexing that you perform using negative index number is known as backward indexing. Here the first character is going here the first character is going to have the index number which is negative of its length. So length is 6, negative of length minus 6 is its index number. And the last character is going to have index number minus 1. Always the index number minus 1 will be given to the last character. All right. So if I have a string, let's say I am declaring another string and it is programming. Okay. Now let's say I don't want to calculate the length of the string and I simply want to access the last character. So instead of counting it out or instead of using the length function, what I can do, I can simply index the last character out by using minus 1 index number. Because here I know that the last character will be present at minus 1 at all times. So depending upon the situation, depending upon your ease, you can use any kind of index number, be it positive, be it negative. Just make sure that the positive one start from 0, the negative one starts from minus 1 which is given to the last character. All right. This is known as forward direction indexing, and this is known as backward direction indexing. All right. So please give me a thumbs up if everything till here is clear to everyone. All right. So moving on, we are going to study another concept that is called slicing. Now, what slicing is? These basically in slicing, what do? We get a sub part of the string. So what I was doing until now, I was getting only one uh, character of the string. But here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a part of the string. So when you want to get a substring, when you want to get a part of the string, what do you use? We use basically the concept of slicing. And when you want to get a part of the string, that is one single character, we use indexing. Okay, someone has commented. What is the use case of reverse indexing in Python? So basically, this kind of indexing you can use whenever, like in kind of structure such as trees, it is used to get the last element out. Also, if you want to fetch the elements, like I said, from the last, you can use backward indexing. All right. For some real world examples, if I would say for backward indexing, it basically you can use to process high volume items, like when you have very high data and you know that some kind of data would be present at the end only. So in those cases, you can use backward indexing. All right. Okay. So moving on, what I was I was telling about slicing a part of the string. So for slicing, the concept of indexing, it comes really handy. So it's better that we know about index numbers before we know about slicing. Like I told you, slicing means getting a part of the string. So here I'm going to slice. Let's say I have Python and I'm going to slice YTH. Now these are multiple characters, not a one single character. So to perform this kind of operation, we are going to use slicing. Firstly, let's see how to do slicing using forward direction index numbers. So if you want to slice something out, you use the variable name. This is the syntax for it. You use square brackets. You mention a start index, a stop index, and a step value. All right. So this syntax you are going to keep in mind whenever you want to slice something out. Before demonstrating slicing, I would like to mention that all of these indexes, they are optional values, which means if you want to include them, you can. If you want to omit, you can omit them. And I'll demonstrate various variations of slicing using this concept. So we have the string that is Python, and from this string, I would like to slice this part. So firstly, let's see what is the starting index number from where we would like to start slicing. So here you can see that y is present and y is present at index number 1. So by default, we know that index number 1 is our starting index. Now, firstly, like I told you, these values are optional. So I'm not mentioning any stop index number or any step index number. And when I do this, you can see that starting from y, I am able to extract the whole string. So this is how you can slice the string. Sorry, you can slice the string from start. Okay. So when you want to slice it from start, just mention the start index number and mention colon and leave the stop index number and leave the step value. All right. But here I want to stop at H. So I need to mention the stop index number as well. Let's see what is the stopping index number. It is 3. Let's mention 3 and see what happens. So H is present at 3, and when I mention it, you can see that I do get Y. I also get H's, but H is omitted. The reason being that whenever a stop index number is mentioned, it is always excluded. So the slicing happens only till before the mentioned index number. So if I want to extract H as well, I need to mention the index number, stopping index number as 4, because then it will stop at O and I will be able to get my substring. So please keep it in mind that the stopping index number, the stopping value will always be excluded. So you need to mention the stop index number by adding 1 to it. And this is how we get the substring YTH from the main string. All right. Now what happens if I do not mention the start value, the start index that is? So you guys might already have an idea about it by now. If I do not mention the start value that is, so you can see that beginning of the string is extracted till the index number, till the stopping index number. So this is how you can slice the string from the back. Okay. So up until now, we have used the starting index number or the stopping index number, but till here, I have not used the step value. So what the step value means? It simply means how many characters I would like to extract after extracting the first character. So by default, the step value is 1. It means that if the starting index is this and the stopping index is this, extract all the values between. Okay, one after the other, all the consecutive values. But if I want to omit, if I want to extract only the alternative values, then I can change the step count. So let's do that. Let's say I want to extract all the alternative values starting from the beginning. I want to extract P, then T, then O. So what I can do, I know that if I don't mention the start index, it is going to start from the beginning. I also know that if I don't mention the stop index, it is going to go till the end of the string. So omit stop index also. And what I want to do, I want to extract each alternative value. So I can mention the step value as 2, because when I was mentioning 1, it was getting all the consecutive values. Mention 2, it is going to skip one value in between. And this gives me the alternative values. All right. So this is the basic concept of slicing. And you can basically play with start, stop, and step values and write different kind of values and get to know how it is affecting your output, in what way you are getting the resulted string. Okay, so I leave it to you guys to basically help yourself out or explore slicing using forward indexing. Please give me a thumbs up if it is understandable to each and every one of you. All right. Now, since we already know that there is also one thing that is known as negative index numbers, let's see how we can slice these strings using negative index numbers. Okay, so the concept is quite same. You have to mention the start index, the stop index, and you will get the values. So string 1, and what I want to do, I want to get the same set of substring that I was getting earlier, YTH, but I'm going to use these index numbers now. So start from -5 and go till -3. So let's mention -5, -3, and I know that the last index number will be omitted. So mention -2, and then we get H as well. All right, the concept is same. However, if I say that I want to do the same, all right, I want to extract these characters only, but I want to reverse the order. I want to extract H, T, and Y in this manner. Can you guys tell me what change should I make to the code in order to do this? So a small question, I'm going to repeat it. I want to extract the same set of characters, but I want to reverse their order. If you have no idea, give me a thumbs up. If you know how to do this, mention it in the chat box. All right, guys, please react with the thumbs up if you don't know. Obviously, most of you might not know, but if you have any idea of how to do this, suggest the way. All right, Paras says that if we use -2, are you suggesting that we use it as a step value, Paras? Okay, -2. All right. So, okay, so I got some comments inside the chat box and I'll be illustrating some of them. So, sir has said, Jay sir, that if we use colon -2, then we might be able to do so. So, pardon me. Okay, so if I do colon -2, I get something. But let's see what it is. So we get NHY. NHY. No worries, sir. Uh, so you rightly said that we could use -2 or we could use negative step count. So you are right in that manner. But what has happened since you have not mentioned the start index, the stop index? So just giving the step value here has returned us or has resulted into extracting the string from the end. So from end we get N, H, Y. Okay. Just like in case of forward slicing, I would have done the same like we were doing colon 2. So what did it do? It gave us every alternative string starting from the beginning. So P, T, O. In the same manner, if I use colon -2, I'll get alternative string starting from the end. Okay. So this is what happens if you use colon -2. If instead of colon -2, I use -1, you can observe that my string has reversed. So this is one little trick you could use to reverse your string. Okay. Someone has said that if we do string 1 -2 and go till -5 and then provide the step count as -2, it gives us OT. Okay, still we are not getting the character. I would leave it to you why we are not getting the expected characters. Okay, so let's see how to get these three characters. Okay, many people have replied, but sorry, I won't be demonstrating each one of them. I'll be demonstrating the correct way now. So, how to get these three characters, but in the reversed order. Now, one thing that I have taught you, I guess someone's mic is on, and due to the voice is echoing. Can you please check, everyone? Yeah, it's fine now. Okay. So in the beginning, I mentioned that the step value by default is 1. Okay. This one does not only mean that extract one character after the other, which meaning that extract all the characters consecutively. It also means that move in the forward direction. All right. But I want to go in the backward direction now because I want to extract H, T, and Y. So instead of mentioning 1, I should mention the step count, step value as -1 so that now the direction of slicing is changed and it is reversed. Okay. So with sign, the direction also change. But if I do this, I get an empty string. The reason being that the slicing starts from here because this is the start index. And since the step value is -1, so from here it is moving in towards this direction. But our stop index lies here. And that's why, as a result, we get an empty string. Please give me a thumbs up if you are able to get this concept. If you are able to understand why I'm getting a empty string. Otherwise, I'll repeat myself. Okay, I'll repeat myself. Let me just move this cell at the top. Okay. So the start index is -5, the stop index is -2. -5 to -2, which means I intend to get this part of the string. The indexing, the step value is -1. I told you guys that if the step value is -1, the slicing will be done in this direction, that is from right to left. So when the slicing starts from -1, the step counts are done in this direction. Whereas the stop value, it exists in the right direction. And that's why, as a result, the string that we get is an empty string. Is it now understandable to everyone? Please give a thumbs up if you get the concept why we are getting an empty string here. Okay. So to change it, I need to reverse my my start and stop index. I basically need to start from here and I need to end here because right now the slicing is going in this direction from right to left. So -2 colon -5 starting from here, but I want to start from here. So -3 and add 1 to the stop index, we get HTY. And More Dhawaj had rightly written the syntax. And this is how we get the same set of characters but in a reverse manner. Please give me a thumbs up if everyone here has understood how to do this. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. So we have given a lot of time to how to slice and how to slice in various manners. Again, this is a task. Consider it a homework. Consider it as an activity that you are going to take a very great length string and then you are going to slice it according to your requirement. Okay, assign yourselves with tasks that I want to slice this part, I want to slice it in this manner, and then you can play with the string and you can explore the concept further. Let's move to another concept related to string, and that is called modifying the string. Okay. Now, modifying something means changing something. We know that if I want to assign a value to any variable, I can declare a variable name, I can use this assignment operator, and I can assign a value. In this case, in this way, the value on the right hand side gets assigned to the variable on the left hand side. This is something very basic, and we all have very clear idea about it. What if in the same way I try to assign the value, or I try to assign a new character to the string? So this is my string. I know that indexing can extract one character out of the string, which is p. If I use the assignment operator, and let's say I try to change this p into something else, maybe a capital letter P. Technically, this should be possible because in this manner only I'm assigning values to variable. I've been doing it for so long now. But if I try to do the same with string, it gives me an error. And it says string object does not support item assignment. Now, this gives us a terminology which is called immutability. So, this concept is called immutability. Immutability means that once assigned, the values of the string cannot be changed. They are immutable in nature. If you declare a string once, you cannot modify it. Okay? You cannot change its value by the means of assigning a new character to any of its existing characters. So this is one thing. And we are going to pay attention to all the objects that we study in the forthcoming sessions, whether they are immutable in nature and whether they are mutable in nature. So strings are immutable. You cannot change them. Okay. Now, considering the same concept, I have a function. So every object they have functions of their own, and in the same manner, string also has some functions. Now in Jupyter Notebook, it's quite easy. If I want to see what all functions are available to me for string one or for any kind of string for that matter, I can write the variable name. I can press dot and I can press tab, and very easily to my convenience, I get the list of all the functions that I can apply on this string. Very we have like very massive list of these functions, and for all the objects we have the same. So we are going to explore some of these functions, and I can see that here there is a function called replace. I just got to know that I cannot change my string, and here I find a function with the name replace. Let's see what this replace function can do. Now, though the name suggests that it is going to replace something inside my string, but still maybe I forgot what it does. So at any place, if you forget what your function does, you can simply place your cursor anywhere on the function and you can press Shift and Tab. So what does this do? It loads a dialog box to me. And this dialog box, it contains the signature of the function. Signature means the definition, or how you define the function, how you declare the function. And we also get something called a docstring. What is this docstring? It is a helping string. Someone who wrote this function, because I told you that functions are predefined set of code. So someone who wrote this function was very smart, and that person has made available this docstring. So in future, if someone wants to use this function as and has no idea what it is going to do, the docstring can help that person. So docstring tells me that return a copy with all occurrences of substring old replaced by new. Means I get an idea that this is going to replace a character or a part of my string with a new part. And this is how I can write it. I need to mention the old character and then I can mention the new character. I have other parameter also, but right now we are going to just pay attention to these these two values. So inside string, what I try to do, I try to change the first character with a capital case P. Let's try to do the same. So the old character is P, it is present in my string, and I would like to change it with the capital character, capital case P. It is possible, but earlier when I was trying to do that, I was not able to do it. And I already told you that strings are immutable. I made a very clear statement that no matter how much you try, you cannot change the string. But how is it possible here? Can you guys guess? Something very basic is happening. Any idea? Give me a thumbs up if you have no clue. That is fine. I'll tell. Okay, we just says that new string will be created. So what these functions are going to do, if any string function in any manner appears to have modified the string. What I'm saying is that appears to have modified the string. Then in that case, that function is creating a copy of the string and changing it. The original string, it is unchanged. And I can prove it by accessing it. See, this small case p is still in small case. But the replace function, it created a copy of it, modified that copy, and returned it as a result. All right. Now, what if I tell you I want to change the original string? What if I want to say that string 1 should reflect this value? Can you tell me, can you give me a clue how to do this? Something very basic again. Reassign with the new value, right? So what I can do, I can reassign either it to the new variable or to the same variable. So string 1 dot replace gives me this, and string 1 contains this. So what I can do, I can rewrite the value so that now this value, it gets stored inside string 1. In this case, the string is not modified. I have changed the value of the string altogether. All right. So I guess we have discussed enough today. And with this, I would like to put an end to today's session. One thing that I would give as homework is that we had many functions that got displayed when I used this tab button on my string. Please explore a few of these functions. Come with some doubts. All right. And if you want to explore any specific function, we'll be exploring some of these functions. But if you want to explore them on your own, you are free to do that. All right. Okay. Anyone has any doubt, they can ask now. Yes. So if you guys have no doubts, you are free to leave the session. I hope it was a great time for you guys and you learned some great concepts today, and we'll be doing the same in the forthcoming sessions also. And thanks for being so attentive and so patient throughout the session.
Thank you, Vanshika, for the session. It was great experience.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vaishika. It was good.